Sorry, I wasn't watching the time. We just totally got cut off. I was on a roll with my ABCs.
Anybody coming back?
I've got Chris coming back in.
Sorry, it cut off. I guess I had used my minutes for the month.
No, it was me. I still have the free version of Zoom and I just have a limited amount.
So
And
my daughter's in grad school and she just came in and said, "Mom, if she uses a website address as an educator, she'll get unlimited amount of time or more time." So I don't know. That was a good thing to know.
yeah, so I would have to enter a different website.
If you have an email attached to your website, she was saying as an educator, you can get more free time. So I
Okay.
don't know. It's something to
Well,
look into.
I will explore that.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that helps. Help me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes I will tell people if we get caught off, sometimes I'm watching it really well and because I like to have that closure and actually say goodbye. But I've told people if we get caught off, then I immediately go back into Zoom, set up a quick little meeting, and you guys figured it out that you can just come right back in.
Right.
Sometimes my schedule doesn't allow that, but today I'm good. So that's a good
But
tip.
wouldn't that be nice if
For
it's
that.
true? We get longer time for free.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I had looked into getting it paid and thought, well, I just need to minimize my monthly expenses for the business. So, um,
I used to use the paid version, and you're right, it gets pricey. And
mm,
if you I'm terrible at time, management in the sense of one of these meetings, so I totally get it. But yeah, I mean, if we can get it free as as an educator, she's in a bunch of uh on the boards of clubs. You know how these kids are in college,
yes,
and so
yeah, yeah.
they
Oh, well,
utilize Zoom.
I'll explore that and see. So anyway, I was just kind of going through my alphabet book and was going to say, you don't always on these have to have all different topics, that you can just pick one topic and do it like this is like O for one. And then on the back side of these, they're not structured, so you can do fun things like the post-it pages, which Linda, what you were showing a while ago looked like you had already kind of figured out how you can cut paper and put it in there, and it just gives the page that instant background, and it makes it look very quilty.
Yeah, I think I just use colored pencils and washi tape,
Okay.
but yeah, and I can use I have too much stuff in my room, so yeah, I can use a number of things. Yeah.
Yes, I dabble with scrapbooking, and like all the scrapbooking supplies can totally be used for Bible quilting. And then here is, let's see, for April, it's going to go NOPQR. So I'll go all the way through this. So this one, the leaf is a cookie cutter. So I use the cookie cutter as a stencil, and I was doing that sometime in the fall. That's why I was inspired to do it that way. So you really can use different things in your environment. I mean, you could just use a coffee cup if you needed a circle. Just think about, shapes that you have available to you. If you don't have the natural artistic ability to just draw a leaf, which I don't apparently. I'm resourceful. I can find ways to get around my lack of artistic
Me too.
ability.
Yeah.
And then like on the P page, this is just a collection of different ones. Pardon, pray, push. This was a little printout. That push is the acronym for pray until something happens. And that's just a really cute little, it's got the little needle and thread there that one of my friends did. And then Q can be a little tough. So I had done, this is probably my very first set of flip cards before I even called them flip cards. I was doing a series on 31 Days of Quiet. So that's a picture of the flip cards that I just printed out because I knew I would have plenty of space since I was going to be challenged for words that started with Q. Um, and other than quiet and quietness, I found quiver and choral qualified. And this is one that I borrowed from my neighbor friend, Mary Jo, that she did. And that just gives you a sense of how you can go diagonal on things. Sometimes I get stuck in kind of the square uh, kind of mentality, but you can totally go for angles and stuff. Oh, and then we've got R too. R has, unlike Q, R has a bunch of ideas: radiance, reaps, return, riches, reality, redemption, rejoice. We did a series on redemption a couple years ago. I think we did redemption and resurrection. So if you, again, if you wanted to do a whole theme, you could do that, especially on the R's or the T's or the S's. And then I did some diagonals on the backside of the R page. So if you were to start the ABC journal, I would recommend doing the page that has that letter on it all the way through, and then that's just going to give you that growing confidence to then, what am I going to do on the backside with the blank? So then you can just do what I call a freestyle page, or there might be one of the templates that inspires you, like on the U, you might want to do the umbrella, just for that little connection. And then that gives you just a little more structure to fill in the gaps. Yeah. So the ABC is kind of a fun one because it just kind of makes you brainstorm and think of things in different ways and how you want to tie them together. So I think I have gone through all my little piles around me. Do you guys have any other ideas, questions? Linda, do you have a lot of creative ideas percolating?
Oh, yeah, always, always. I'm just trying to think. Uh,
We have not done like a paintbrush, like artistic palette one. I was thinking of that verse. Because I've done the verse about his workmanship, but that would be a fun illustration for some of the creative things that you're talking about.
I got a question for you, Diana.
Sure.
So the binders that we purchased from you, is that done on it's a beautiful cardstock. It's absolutely beautiful. Is it a is it watercolor, or can it take paint, or do you suggest using like a clear gesso on it?
That is a good question. I have done some watercolor on it, but like I said, I am not artistic, so I haven't done like a full one. It's vellum. It's like 67-pound vellum Bristol. So you might do just a little search and see how that manages with the watercolor. Another
Okay.
way to do it is, choose something that you can do your watercolor on and then attach that page to the journal. And then that way it's not like a big oops. And I guess you could do it the other way. You could try it on the journal. And if it seeps through too much on the other page, then you could put a template, on that.
Got it.
But I have
Well, I mean,
done,
it's kind of a great filler, you know what I mean? When you're,
yeah.
especially if you're, I have arthritis, so coloring too much too long can be, a bit cumbersome. I love paper piecing, so of course I would do that as well. But I thought about that too. It just a wash in the background might be nice after you outline something, who knows? It might be fun.
Yeah, so they have and they have colored pencils that are watercolor.
Right.
So you do that, and then that's just adding just a little bit of moisture. And I've even had some girls here that have used a baby wipe to do that. A dry option for you is pastels. So
Yes.
these are Faber-Castell. I don't know if I'm saying that right. they're gelato pastels, and it looks like the size of a glue stick, and you just shade it on your page, and it's not, since it's a little bit fatter, it might be easier if you're struggling with arthritis. And then you can get different kinds of daubers, but I got these little ones that are finger daubers, and then you just blend it in, and it does give you a very robust, even color on the background. And let me
It's
see.
great to use all the fun tools, that's for sure. Now we get to actually use all this stuff in our arsenal. So
I know. If you have ink pads, you
Mhm.
can rub ink pads. Um, you lose a little control like on the middle of the page, but I do it like around my flip cards, or around the edges of the page without too much oopsing. Let me
well,
flip.
and when you were talking about, even you can, and I had forgotten this till you said that, you can use regular matte pencils and use odorless mineral spirits with a nub, those little
Mhm.
they're like paper pointed sticks kind of things, and it won't bleed. I had totally forgotten that. It kind of gives you that alcohol ink look, though now alcohol inks you can find a lot more inexpensively than they used to be. So
Right.
that's a great idea. I had not even thought of that. Thank you, Diana.
Yeah. And I have a post that's called my favorite Bible quilt supplies.
Got
And
it.
I just keep adding to it. It's an old blog post at this point, but I have links in there for finding the little pastels. I'm looking through one of these to find one that I've done the pastels on, because it does just give you oh, here we go.
Yes.
So that's one that I
Pretty.
did. And what I did on that page was I did all of the background color first. And I used with the little finger daubers, you don't have that detailing edge. So I just used some scrap paper that I would bump it up against the edge, like if I were doing the green, and then I could just rub over that line and have it all the way full. Some people don't want it to connect all the way, and if there's white space in there, it didn't bother them. But it does give it just a really nice color tone.
It does.
Yeah.
Pretty.
And very quilty, very quilty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one journal that I started a long time ago, and then I abandoned it and come back to it
Yeah.
later. This one, the cover is one of those children's sewing cards. That's
Yeah.
what the cover is. 40 days of prayer. And so I started by just defining what prayer is. I put some quotes in there. I put a lot of prayers in there. I
Mhm.
put some flip pages in there too, where the
Yeah.
pages come out of the journal.
Yes.
So I do things like that. Sometimes I type them and copy them to it. And most of the time I write, but
Mhm.
with arthritis, it's hard.
Mhm.
So
I have had other women with arthritis that they could do typing better, or if they were concerned if it was a little shaky, that the typing worked, and then you just print it out and glue it on there. And then that actually gives you more freedom in the colors you use, because you could use darker colors in your background. And then if you're using white paper, and then you can also switch it up and print it on different colored paper too. So there's a lot of different ways around that. Some people still have like a pull off calendar page, maybe with the verse. You could use a whole series of those. Or if you've got like the 6x6 scrapbook paper, sometimes I'll do that, and then you can overlap stuff into it. And I think I've mentioned it before that if I'm using some sort of heavily colored scrapbook paper or something like that, then that kind of defines the color palette for the rest of the page. So those are the markers that I'll use, or the washi tape that I'll use. This is another one that looks just kind of like a mishmash of things. Like this is that's a gift tag, and that is just a circle that I did the little flower petals around. And then that was just something I had floating around that I was about today. So you can incorporate all of those things as a little inspiration piece. And it does make each page very unique and kind of personalized.
That's a great thing about journaling. You get to use all your good stuff.
Yes,
do.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, and stamps, I kind of forget about stamps sometimes, and the advantage to those is you can use those over and over again, whereas if you're relying on stickers, you run out of the E's and the A's. But with stamps, you can just keep repeating those. Linda, did you have something else?
No, I was just looking at some old journals. I mean, like I started one on, I think I've been doing this for a long time, and then I put it away and I found you. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I've done patchwork quilts on paper before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This one is on the book of Matthew.
Okay.
And I didn't do the whole book.
Yeah.
Or I'll do the Lord's Prayer. And
Right.
teach people how to pray. If I'm trying to teach people to how to pray, I will take what I know and make an art project out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the beauty of this technique is you can adapt it to a topical study. You can do it as a daily devotional based on, because it's just going to give you that verse to do, or you can do it as a sermon summary, or like you
Mm.
said, for a book of the Bible or characters of the Bible. I have one that I've dedicated to the women of the Bible that every once in a while in my reading, if we get to a particularly strong character, then I'll switch gears and go to that journal and highlight it. So, yeah. And I feel like it's just endless.
It's
We
a mess.
just can keep putting God's word together in different ways. And it's just a blessing to see the Old and the New Testament come together in a visual way that I think it just makes those mental connections in a just very, unique way. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming in for the bonus round.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. And do you do this once a month?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'm trying to do the Zooms once a month. I'm based in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I try to have at least one in person once a month. And then I've got I call it a scripture writing group for my church, so that I'm just discussing a lot of different ways you can do it rather than kind of honing them in on Bible quilting. And I do that once a month. So
Okay.
that keeps me pretty busy, especially as I'm trying to keep up with content and sending out newsletters and stuff. So, yeah.
Good.
It
Well,
was
thank
nice to
you.
meet you, Linda. Thanks for popping in. We're very brave just to jump in and go.
Okay. Well, we'll hope to see you soon
Yes.
online.
Thank you. All right. Bye,
Bye-bye.
ladies.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye, y'all. God bless you.
You too.
Bye.